اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم لا علم إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. وصل اللهم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. Before I start, I'm not going to talk very long because we've had several sessions and I know people have been here patiently. Quite a few people I have left already. So I just wanted to say about this. This is a non-profit group. I'm not making any money from that, and I also do not make money from my tapes. And it's not that it's impermissible. It's permissible to do that. I've just tried to keep that separate from my life for personal reasons. But the Alhambra has become a non-profit. It was before it was a business. It's become a non-profit organization and dedicated to raising the level of the dissemination of materials through media like documentary films and tape series. And I think that Yusuf Islam, may Allah protect him, he has really raised the standard for all of us in his productions. Obviously, I mean, the man was a professional before he became Muslim and worked at the highest levels of production, but he's brought that over into Islam, and the Mountain of Light productions have really set a standard, I think. And also there's been efforts in the United States with other organizations, but I really think this is what we need to do to appeal to the non-Muslims also, as well as honoring the deen by producing things of ihsan and itqan. The hadith says, "Inna Allah yuhibbul abd إِذَا عَمِلَ عَمَلًا أَنْ يُتْقِنَهُ," that Allah loves a servant that when he does something, he does it with itqan, or perfection. And this was a hallmark of Muslims. Wherever you went, really the Muslims did things with such extraordinary perfection. The art that they created, the buildings, the architecture, all of these things, and we need to return to that level. Many of the Muslims in this country, it always surprises me, they're working at the highest levels in the non-Muslim world, and yet when they come to Islamic work, somehow all the standards become back-homian standards, and really they give to Islam what their own jobs wouldn't accept as a standard, right? The finished product, their own jobs. And this is something we have to really get out of this mentality and start giving Islam the best from our efforts, and that will reflect out, and people will recognize that the Muslims should set standards. I mean, I've been told that this conference is now considered one of the most successful conferences, but there's still a lot of areas, I think, that there are shortcomings that we need to focus on. And one of the things that people can do is to write in constructive criticisms. This is something really important, to get feedback, to have postmortems, to dissect what went right, what went wrong. This is part of the way in which we improve. We can't get content or become complacent because we've reached some standard or level. There has to be a commitment to improvement, and this is what ihsan is really about, a commitment to improvement. Now, having said that, I'll just briefly about, there's no doubt that one of the secrets of this deen is the Asma Allah al-Husna. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us these names, and He has told us, Lillahi al-Asma al-Husna, that Allah has the most beautiful names. Now, one of the things about the Arabic language is and I would recommend all of you, if you don't know Arabic, to really commit to studying the Arabic language. And even this includes the Arabs, because many Arabs have a compounded ignorance about Arabic because they can speak dialectical Arabic. They really make some assumptions about the language, and there are many Arabs that don't understand the subtleties of the Arabic language and really miss some of the extraordinary nuances of the Quran and rhetoric, balagha, al-ma'ani, wal-badi' wal-bayan. These sciences really open up the power of the Quran to the person who studies it. Now, in the Arabic language, if you look, there's a word that the Arabs use for a non-Arab. They call him an a'jami. Now, a'jami, if you look at there's another word, ajma, bahimatun ajma, which means a dumb animal, right? And ajami has the idea that it's come to mean that. But if you look at the original root meaning of ajami, which is a non-Arab, the word comes from ajama, which doesn't mean to be dumb. It means to try by biting. To try by biting. If you look at the word Arab, the Arab themselves, Araba means to cut. It means to cut, right? Now, or to eat fully as well. To eat fully. So the ajami, if you look at the word in Arabic for word, kalima, or pen, qalam, these come from root words that have to do with cutting. Now, the difference between biting and cutting is that biting is not precise, whereas cutting is precise. So the nature of the Arabic language is that it's a precise language. It has absolute precision. Now, another very interesting thing about language is that if you look at some of the dominant theories of language, almost all of the Western theories, if you move outside of the religious realm, almost all of the non-religious linguistic theories state that the phoneme is a meaningless symbol. The phoneme is something like a, I, u. These are phonemes. And we have in language an extraordinary thing that they call doubling. Now, one of the things about language is, a lot of people don't know this, but there's only about 100 sounds that the human being can make. A trained voice can make more, but most human beings can only make about 100 sounds. The average language has about 45 sounds in it. Most animals can only make a handful of sounds. In fact, one of the most sophisticated of all the creatures in terms of sound are the birds, which is interesting because Allah talks about mantaq at-tayr. That is most adept to linguistic prowess is the bird, not the monkey. The monkey is actually incredibly limited. So this idea of doubling is that we can actually take phonemes and add them together to create sounds based on more than one phoneme. And so if you look at like animals, like a dog barks, yambah. But you don't notice that if you listen to a dog's bark, he's not doing this doubling. No other creature can do this. They can't do this. So a dog can make these crude sounds, but he can't make subtle sounds. He can't say, hello, how are you? He can't say, kayfa haluka. He can just bark. That's all he can do. The human being can do this doubling, which gives him a power, because it means that instead of having 100 sounds, which would mean the maximum number of meanings that you could have in your language is 100. The average animal, they've got about 7 or 8. Some of the most sophisticated monkeys have about 25. In other words, that's all they can say. Look out. Something like that. They can say, watch out. Or hawk. Right? They can shout something that has a meaning to the other animals and they'll run. And we know this in observing and watching them. But human beings have the ability to produce language. Now, Allah has chosen the Arabic language. And my belief is that it is in accordance with the opinion of Imam Suyuti and others, that the Arabic language is tawqifiyah, which means that it is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The language is not conventional. It didn't come together out of like the ding-dong theory. That's a linguistic theory. They call it the ding-dong theory. So for instance, they said one day somebody dropped something, like you take two, and they make that sound, they say clank. That sounds like a clank. You see, that's a ding-dong theory of language. Is that originally human beings, like a rock dropped and it went, koom, and they said, rock. Right? This is how stupid these people get. Right? But this is actually a theory in linguistics. Now, they don't believe the phoneme has meaning. They say the phoneme is meaningless.